Welcome to your reading. So we have Monkey, Inner Child, Don't Take Life Too Seriously. We have the Sun card. We have Pisces. We have You Can Choose a New Beginning, Evolution. You have the power to improve your life choice. Okay, your spread is super sweet, like super sweet. It almost feels like your guides are coming through and just trying to give you a warm hug. I mean, even with the way the cat is on the Sun card, it has its little arms stretched out. It's like, come here, like, come give me a hug. It's super sweet. I feel like, if you've been feeling just a bit stressed, overworked, burned out, things are hectic, or it just feels like there's too much on your plate and not enough you to go around, like you wish there was an avatar of you that you could send to do some of your errands because there's just not enough time in the day. Or maybe it's more extreme than that, maybe you have felt really stuck and really worn down and hopeless, and you're just wondering when things are gonna let up because it just feels like it hasn't been the easiest cycle for you. It hasn't been the easiest time for you. And, there may be some uncertainty. There may be some fear. But I feel like your cards are coming through today to reassure you that, it's going to be okay. And that you may think that the best way to kind of handle this tough cycle is to buckle down, be even more self-disciplined, try to take on even more. And Spirit is saying that's just going to stress you out. It really is. It's just going to stress you out. I feel like some of you are just a little bit lost right now. It's not that, it's almost like there needs to be a change. That you can't keep being so stressed, overworked, burned out, stuck, stagnant, whatever the problem is, maybe just feel depressed, maybe just feel disconnected, anxious, whatever the case may be, or you're just being too hard on yourself, but it's not sustainable, like your current energy just is not sustainable. And so, there needs to be a change, but you're kind of at a loss, I think, as to how to go about doing that. Or you may have told yourself that the current circumstances are outside of your control. Maybe you're having a little bit of an Eight of Swords moment, where you feel like you don't have a choice, where you feel like you don't have any power when really you do. And I think sometimes that comes from deep down, we know the decision we need to make. We know how we need to move forward. We know we can't stay where we're at, but we're just so afraid of making that choice because it's the last one we want to do because it's super scary. And it's, I always talk about this, but it's the comfort of the devil that we know. And sometimes, the idea of making a really big change or walking away from something can feel so scary that we would rather stay stuck in something that's making us miserable, because the fear of the unknown is so strong. And, there's a strange kind of comfort in the misery that you're at least familiar with, And so I feel like for you all, the guidance here is to first, they're breaking it down to me in steps, but first recognize that you do have power in this situation. You do have more choices available to you than you recognize. And this is maybe kind of like a dark example, but working as a mental health professional, sometimes people are court-ordered to get treatment. And I mean, I'm not here to debate like the ethics of that, but sometimes people are court-ordered and people will say, well, sometimes, I don't know, there's like this judgment and addiction treatment where some patients feel like they're better than others if they aren't court-ordered, because they'll be like, well, I came here voluntarily, so I'm serious about my treatment. They're court-ordered, so they aren't serious about their treatment. It's like this weird hierarchy, and honestly, it's just not true. Like, I see people all the time who are court-ordered for treatment, and they're used to structure, especially if they've recently been incarcerated, and they do a fantastic job. You know, they go in there, they do what they have to do, and, you know, just because someone's initial motivation for treatment may be low, doesn't mean that their motivation for treatment can continue to be low. Doesn't mean that, you know, their reason, I always say, I put it like this, your reason for entering treatment is not necessarily your reason for staying, you know? And, you know, if you've been incarcerated before, I mean, why, you know, if you really didn't want to be there, you could say, yeah, I'd rather be in jail, you know, I'd rather be in prison, and you can go back. So you do have a choice. It may not be a great choice, it may not be an awesome choice, but you do still have a choice. So even if you're court ordered, you still chose to be there because you could have went back to prison. You know, you could have done that. There were other options available to you. They weren't great choices, but they were there. And like I said, just because you're court ordered doesn't mean you can't do a fantastic job in treatment, and people do. And so it's kind of like that. And I know, again, that's like a dark example, but it's like, you may not like the choice available to you. It may be something where you're like, that doesn't really feel like an option to me because it's so scary and it would require maybe a lot of change. Maybe it would require a big risk, but hey, you do still have a choice. You know, you do still have a choice. I think so often we convince ourselves that we don't have a choice when we do. And it's because of that fear. And I think that fear is very understandable because change is, you know, a bit of a gamble, right? But I feel like these two cards in particular, you can choose a new beginning. You have power to improve your life. They're really trying to encourage you here as that first step to realize that you do have options. You may not like your choices, but you do have options. And then I think the second, you know, thing that they really want you to do is if you are confused about what choice you should go for, you know, you're confused about which way you should go, you're not going to arrive at that conclusion by sitting there and worrying about it, by sitting there and overthinking it. They want you to have a little bit of fun. They want you to do something to take your mind off of it. They want you to maybe do something creative. They want you to give yourself freedom to let your mind wander in a good way. You know, it's like you've been using your mind to kind of fuel your anxiety, whereas they would like you to use your mind to fuel your imagination. Like they want you to, instead of sitting there and imagining all the worst case scenarios, they want you to sit there and imagine the best case scenarios. And if you're not in a position to do that, you need to find a way to have a little fun, have a little joy, bring some optimism back into your life, and not sort of catastrophize the situation into like a life or death kind of thing. And sometimes we do that. You know, like I remember when I was trying to make the decision as to whether I was going to walk away from my previous grad program. Y'all know I've since graduated with my master's, but I had never quit anything before. You know, I knew I didn't want to be a PA, but I had put so much time and effort and money into it that it felt like my life is going to be over if I chose to leave school. And I mean, in my heart of hearts at that point in time, I believed that, like my life is over. And we do that, you know. I think in those times when we have to make these really big decisions, or we're trying to figure out certain lifestyle changes that feel really big to us in the moment, we do have a tendency towards drama, you know. We think my life is going to be over if I do this. And sometimes when the worst happens, you'll be amazed at how resilient you are, at how you're able to figure out and work through situations that you thought would surely be the end of you. So like I said, you know, for some of you, you're just in a rut. For some of you, it's not that deep. For some of you, it's just you need to make more time for fun. You need to let yourself, you know, be imaginative, be creative, You need to stop being so hard on yourself. Don't take yourself so seriously. Don't take life so seriously. Remember, the point of living is to enjoy the moment more than anything. Be present, enjoy today for what it is. And for others of you, it's more than that. You know, it's coming back to your power. It's realizing that you have more options than you thought. It's realizing that you need to bring hope back into your life. You need to believe that the sun will come back out, that this rough cycle will end. So, I mean, all of you are in different situations right now, but I think what ties your group together is a need for more optimism, a need for more joy, a need for more fun, and a need to realize that you are not a victim of circumstance. That even when you don't like your choices, you do still have choices. And it may surprise you where certain paths that you thought you didn't want to take actually lead you to something that you really, really want. And for your final card here, we have Energetic Ella. And I think that is a really great message to end your reading, because you really need to change your energy. You know, if you feel like you're not happy with whatever is going on in your external environment, it starts with you. So if you can change your energy and how you feel about a situation, if you can change your energy and show up in your life in a different way with a different attitude, a different perspective. Tallulah, what is going on? I'm sorry, my cat's got zoomies. If you can change up your energy, everything else will have to follow. If you are energetically showing up in your life in a more empowered and joyful and optimistic way, your external environment has to eventually reflect that. You have more power than you realize, you really do. And so I think even if you don't believe in the law of attraction and things like that, I feel like we can all agree that if you start your day expecting the best, having a positive outlook, you're probably going to have a better day than if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, grumpy, mad at the world, right? So it starts with you. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Hey group 2, welcome to your reading. So we have the Lion card, Honor. Honor your soul and celebrate its journey. We have Justice, we have Reach for the Stars, Aspire. We have Gemini, and we have the Chariot. Okay. Congratulations. It feels like you all are on the precipice of really changing your life for the better. You know, with the Chariot card here, I feel like for a lot of you, you've recently made a big decision or you're about to, but it feels like you're finally kind of starting to own up to, this is the life that I want to lead. You know, this is how I want my life to feel like to me. And you're being true to who you are. You're being authentic to yourself. And, you know, you're not afraid to, I feel like you're not afraid to voice your dreams anymore. You know, maybe for a while you kind of repressed it a bit, or you were afraid to even admit to yourself what you truly wanted. But it feels like now you're like, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to be true to myself. I'm not going to worry anymore. And I'm going to appreciate the journey. I'm not going to worry and have all of this fear and fret over every single step of the way. I'm going to enjoy the process. You know, I'm going to enjoy the story. And I'm going to find a way to live my life where I'm honoring all aspects of me. Because with Gemini, I'm thinking of the twins, and I'm thinking of the divine feminine and the divine masculine and the yin and the yang and finding balance. I feel like that's what a lot of this is for you, is finding balance, finding a way to be true to every part of you, you know, finding a way to be true to, I feel like both your ambition, your aspirations, but also your need to just have joy and be in the moment and have fun in your life. I feel like this is probably the first time where you feel like I really might have a chance at balance here, you know, at living a life that feels full. And you know, having balance in your life is going to look different for all of you. You know, it's not going to look the same. You know, some of us have, I guess, a different kind of mindset, right, about what overworking looks like versus what a good schedule is. So I feel like, you know, realistically speaking here, there's going to be a lot of changes in your day-to-day routine that are coming up. And I feel like, you know, people may question you regarding the path that you're on now, because it does feel like it's a pretty big change. It feels like it's something you've been wanting to do for a while. And if you've been quiet about it up until this point, it may be surprising to some people, but I feel like you're owning it now. And it feels so right to you that, you know, any chatter from other people is just noise at this point. So I think, you know, your confidence right now, your confidence in your own decisions is bringing you a lot of peace. And you feel like you have a lot more freedom than you have, you know, had in the past. It feels like you're taking back kind of the reins of your life, you know? And I feel like you're taking responsibility and accountability for anything in your past that just wasn't resonating with you, that wasn't working for you. You know, you're owning your part in it. You're saying, you're kind of just expressing forgiveness, you know, and letting it go. And you're not, as you move into this new chapter of your life, you're not overburdened with guilt or remorse or regret. You know, it feels like your heart is quite light. And you're like, you know what? Everything that has happened before, it was what it was. And everything about that helped me see what I didn't want. So now I'm able to move confidently in the direction of what I do want. And what I love so much about this for you, group 2, is that you're having fun with it. You're having a lot of fun with it. You know, you're not worried, you're not afraid. It's more of like, you know, when you're a little kid and you're moving to a new town. And maybe you are really scared about starting a new school, making new friends, and all of that. But at the same time, it's really exciting. And I think that you have that kind of, with Gemini being here, like a childlike curiosity to see how it all pans out. You know, I feel like, are you nervous? Yeah, in some ways, but I feel like the excitement outweighs that feeling of nervousness. I feel like you're super excited. And I think also there's almost this confidence too, because you're like, listen, if I could handle my past, if I could get through everything I've been through up until this point, I can most definitely handle my future. And again, I just feel like you're feeling so much more confident, and I feel like your guides want to encourage you to keep up this energy because it's really going to benefit you. You know, the Chariot card represents success. We have justice, you getting what you deserve. You being true, you being honest to what it is that really is going to bring you a sense of pride, a sense of peace, a sense of celebration. And for your final message here, we have Spiritual Sally. And I think this is probably one of my favorite cards in this deck. But I think that's part of what is fueling your confidence here, is that you kind of understand your role now as a co-creator with Spirit. You understand the power that you do have and where you need to surrender. And I think going back to Gemini, again, it's all about that balance. So I think you have faith in the universe, yes, but I think you also have faith in yourself. And that's a totally new dynamic for some of you. For some of you, maybe you had that faith in the universe before, but you didn't have faith in yourself, and you didn't realize that that was the missing puzzle piece. You know, I think you're trusting future you to handle future problems. And yeah, I mean, you got a perk in your step, you know, like you're really confident. You're walking with your head held high here, and it's super exciting, you know. It's like you were just missing that one little piece to the puzzle, and here we are. You got the key now. You know how to unlock that door. You know how to move forward. And so I think this is going to be a really exciting chapter. A really exciting chapter in your story. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading. welcome to your reading. So we have the Swan card to start us off. We have Graceful Transformation, Soften Your Heart and Find Your Flow. We have the Empress card. We have Capricorn. We have Nourish, Feed Your Body and Mind. And we have Decide to Embrace Change, Rotation. Okay, I really love this Swan card came out next to the Empress here, especially since it says soften your heart and find your flow. Because we always talk about the Empress card as being the queen of all queens, right? She is the epitome of divine feminine energy. That's why the Empress is always pregnant, right? And so, or at least in most decks she is. And we talk about the Empress as flowing like water. Flowing like water. You know, the Empress knows when to surrender. She is a receptive energy. And you can consider that passive, but I think receptive is a much better term for it. She's not chasing, she's not seeking. She's sitting there on her throne, and she is awaiting her blessing. And it looks like she's not really doing a whole lot, right? But she's the Empress. She is pregnant. Everything is going on inside of her. Massive transformation is going on inside of her. She is growing life. She is creating. But she's from the outside, it doesn't look like anything's happening. She looks like she's just sitting there. And she is going through a very graceful transformation. It's not an overnight change, right? They say it takes 9 months, but I think if you count it all up, they say it's really 10 months. But anyway, it takes a minute to grow a baby. It takes a minute. And you know, there's nothing to do except to nourish her temple. And we have the Nourish card here, right? I mean, that's the most important thing for a pregnant woman to do, right? Is to nourish her temple. Get enough rest. Eat well. Do movement, but even exercise has to be gentle, right? Can't do anything too strenuous. Certain exercises aren't safe. It's, I would argue, the time when you have to be most careful with your body. I'm sitting here in my second trimester, so all of this is hitting home for me. And so, I mean, for some of you, maybe you're watching this and you take this in a very literal way because you are pregnant. But I think for most of you here, it's in a weird way kind of encouraging you to take care of yourself, to nourish yourself as if you were pregnant. And even if you're a man watching this, okay? Like, take care of yourself. Honor yourself. And understand that even if from the outside it doesn't look like you're doing much, when you start to devote time to self-care, when you start to do these things, feeding your body and your mind, you are undergoing a graceful transformation. You are showing yourself that you love yourself, you're parenting yourself. That's really what's encouraging you to do, is mother yourself. It doesn't matter what your gender is, mother yourself. Be maternal towards yourself, be nurturing towards yourself. And sit back, because when you do that, when you love yourself, take care of yourself the way that a mother would take care of a child, whether it was in her womb or born, doesn't matter. When you do that, you will be amazed at the transformation you undergo. So it starts with you. You may have been drawn to group 1, some of you. And so I think that regardless of what is going on in your life, you right now need to be your primary focus. Feeding your body and your mind, whatever that looks like to you. So it's not just physical self-care, it's emotional, spiritual, mental self-care too. Really understand and know that you deserve to devote time to yourself. You deserve to devote effort to yourself. You deserve to love yourself. And it may feel like a waste of time. It may feel like you have more pressing matters. But your cards are promising you here that if you start with you, this wheel will turn. This rotation card makes me think of the Wheel of Fortune. The tide will turn in your favor. Embrace the change. I think for most of you, you like to be in this Capricorn energy. You like to work hard. You may think that, nothing comes easy in life. That if you want something, you have to work for it. But all that chasing, all that desperation, all that seeking, all that ambition is wearing you down. It's wearing you down. Apply that same self-discipline to your self-care routine. You're not getting anywhere. You're running in place. The harder you swim, the more you're sinking. You're pushing yourself too hard. You're doing too much, and yet not enough. Because you're investing all of your time and effort into things that are outside of you. If you want to see true change, if you want to get to where you're going in a much easier, gentler way, you gotta start to take care of yourself. And it isn't until our health fails us that we start to realize that at the end of the day, that's all that truly matters. If you don't have your health, what do you have? When they say your health is your wealth, that's so true. You could be on top of the world, but if you are chronically ill, how are you enjoying that? Every day then is a fight. And it's the same thing if you're mentally or emotionally struggling. We see that with celebrities all the time. We look at them and we say, you're so ungrateful. But if you're, you could have all the money and resources and privilege in the world, but if your mental and emotional well-being hasn't been neglected or abused in some way by yourself or by others, it's really hard to find a sense of peace and contentment. And so, I hope this doesn't come across as a lecture because, listen, I have been pulling cards to check in on my own energy, and I've gotten the Empress, more than a few times here lately. And yes, she's probably coming out because I'm pregnant right now, but I think it's also just a constant reminder to take care of myself. And so I think, this is the message for you ultimately here today, is to give yourself permission to take care of yourself and to know that once you do, you will have that transformation. You will have that change. You will be so much further along in finding a place of emotional contentment. And I always say that over happiness because happiness is a fleeting feeling, just the same as any other emotion. But I think contentment is a better thing to strive for, because nothing is ever going to be perfect, but we can at least feel content. We can at least feel at home in our lives. So for you to find that sense of home and contentment, first know that you have to create that within yourself. You have to create a hospitable home within your own body and mind. That has to come first. For your final card here, we have Solitary Serena. And I think this is what it's all about. Take time for yourself. Enjoy your own company. Let yourself be your number one priority. And that's okay. It's okay to take care of yourself. You don't have to feel any guilt for that. It's necessary. Your self-love, your self-care, that's a non-negotiable. It has to be done. It has to. And so if you need to retreat a little bit, if you need to pull back from the outside world a little bit to get this right, to recalibrate yourself, that's okay. That's okay. And the people that love you will understand. You don't have to feel guilty about that. You don't owe your time and resources and effort to everybody. It's okay to take time for you. It's okay to say no. It's okay to set boundaries. Never feel guilty for taking time for yourself when you really, really need it. And in fact, it's better to make that a normal routine for yourself so it doesn't have to get to the point of, I'm burning out, I need to take time for myself. It doesn't have to become like an urgent situation. You know, if you do that maintenance work on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't have to be, so extreme. It doesn't have to be so urgent. It doesn't have to get to a point of burnout. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading.